Hey,
Great.
everybody, all of our Dishin Days fans, welcome. I'm your host, Tony Moore, and I'm joined by,
Austin Harold.
and we are here with one of our favorite people to have
Yes.
on our show. We have Miss Marci Miller and Billy Flynn. How are you
Yes.
Yay.
guys?
Welcome. Good morning.
One of your favorite people, got it. Okay.
So Marci, okay, so before I was gonna ask this question, I had like welcome back, and then I realized you've been back for like a year now because this whole pandemic thing has like
It's
totally
been a
messed up
hot
my
minute.
timetable. It's been.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, how would you describe Abigail right now, and how do you think she's changed since the last time you've played her?
Ooh, that's great. I think that there's a new level up for Abby. I mean, when Abby came back this time, she had made a conscious decision. She had made an assessment of her mental health and her well-being and the role that she could and wanted to play in her family's lives. And she made a conscious decision to come back and be a part of that. And she only did that because she had thought about it and really felt like, I can do this. I want to do this. I want to rise to this occasion. And I think there is a level of healing that has taken place, and a newfound confidence to some degree. Granted, not totally healed and not gone away, but I think this time her coming back as opposed to the last time, there's new security and certainty with who she is and within her illness and who she wants to be in her marriage and as a mother.
Nice.
Thanks. Marci, do you miss the DID storyline? And if they brought it back, what would you do differently?
Ooh, do I miss it? Yes and no. Yes and no. I really appreciated the challenge, and it's so cool to get to play all the different characters, especially characters that are so different than the way I'm accustomed to being cast. I would, if they revisited it, what would I do differently? I think I would just take each of those characters a step further. You know, that's the one thing about this genre is you don't have the time to really carve out what you want to carve out. You do the best you can. You throw the whole mess against the wall and whatever sticks. But I would love to really explore the Gabby character, like make her extra devious, extra sensual, extra, just lean hard into those things. Because every character you play, there's a different level of comfortability. You know, the longer you play it, you get to know more about it and yada yada. But I'd love to explore that devious, dark, sensual thing more so. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For the both of you, and I know that you guys have been getting this question a lot, but what's your take on the addition of Gwen and Jake added to the Chad and Abigail storyline? Because I feel like the characters have already been through so much, and then you had a small break, and then they added in these two characters to kind of rustle the feathers again. But I'm interested to hear what's your take on them being added to the storyline.
I mean, I think from like a Billy standpoint, I love Emily and I love Brandon. I think they're both amazing and they're really talented, and I think they're really fun to work with. From the character standpoint, you know, I think it's more confusing than anything, because I think it just seems like we were talking about it earlier, how unaware and trusting certain characters can be with some people, and then like just depending on whatever service it needs to be to that part of the story, or and then how judgmental and untrusting you can be with other people. It's like for Brandon or for Jake, I'm like, he's the devil, which makes sense. He looks like Stefan, and that brings up bad stuff. But then Gwen, I'm just like, oh yeah, no, she's
fine.
She's great. She's my best. She's our best friend. I think. Listen, I think after 14,000 episodes, you do your best to try to find levers to increase conflict wherever you can. And I think it's just they're just the next kind of thing, so it just feels like another little kind of mountain to climb.
So tall mountain.
It's a tall one. Yeah. But I think overall, I mean, kind of like Marci said about developing characters and developing certain things you want to do with the character.
Mhm.
I think on paper, I think the large scale, I think it's always interesting what they have planned. I just don't know if there's ever the time. I mean, if they were able to let things play out over months, I think it would work as opposed, and you got to shove so much stuff in like a couple weeks, and in Salem time, it's like a couple days. So you meet somebody and like 2 days later, they're babysitting your children and they're the most trustworthy people ever. It's like, it would take longer for me to read the applications than it would fall in love with somebody. So I think that part can be kind of frustrating, but I imagine it's frustrating for everybody. You wish you could let the thing play out and
Mhm.
have that time. I think there's always a fear that people are going to get bored and the audience is somehow going to get stale. But I think the day's audience, and I think soap audiences in general are really, really, really trusting and like really forgiving and I think
And loyal.
and
They're a long
Very
time.
loyal. Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to lend something to them to get invested in.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I think we are 10,000% invested in this storyline because we are just anxious to see what Gwen has up her sleeve and why she's doing the things that she's doing.
Yeah.
So,
and to that, I think it's on the point.
mhm.
I think what they do well is they get the tentpole idea really right, and again, I can't imagine trying to wrangle, 14 different tentpole storylines into one. So is it, to that, I think it's really interesting with what they do and how they make everything kind of come to a climax.
Yeah.
Billy, you're really great as Chad when it comes to reacting. Do you enjoy playing the like quote unquote straight man to like the crazy characters that surround Chad?
Yeah, I reacted. I don't. So that's just me sometimes. I don't necessarily feel like the straight guy. I feel like I kind of goof around with more of my react. I take things less seriously, I think, than other people. Like it's fun to be able to. Sometimes I feel like I'm the audience when I'm listening to some of the storylines with some of the reactions that they give me a freedom. Like I laugh during things which probably shouldn't be laughed at, like or like there'll be an argument between, like there was an argument between Gabby and Jake and Gwen. I remember just sitting back one time, just kind of watching as like the audience, just like giggling, like being into it, or there's a story that I remember telling, talking about something Stefano had planned, and it was Marci and I. And I remember just thinking it was just the goofiest, most hysterical thing ever, So like, I don't necessarily feel like the straight man all the time, but I get what you mean, and it's like, I think it's a lot of fun to just to be around these crazy characters and just react like a normal person, where I'm just like, are you like? I have these looks sometimes. I was like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you're the gateway to the audience there. Yeah.
Yes. And last question. After 14,000 episodes of Days of Our Lives, is there a moment or an episode or a scene that just lives in your head like the entire time? Like sometimes when you're just sitting, it just replays over and over again? It can be yours or it could be someone else's.
I mean, in terms of replaying, in terms of replaying, I think our vow renewals, one of my favorite scenes that we ever got to do was the vow renewal breakup scene from like the first time I was the first time I was there.
Mhm.
That was always really cool. I felt like we got to have a really human, unique experience there. And then I always love the big scenes when you think about the 14,000 episodes. I love having moments where it's got all these veteran cast members, all of the parties and the Christmases and all of that. Those are always really uniquely special to me.
Yeah, I think that scene she talked about in the beginning, some stuff that I did with Stefano in the beginning, Jonah Scolo, I think always stands out as being great. The last time I saw you walk out of Horton Town Square and never to be seen again.
This is true. I went into a store and just never came back out.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to
thanks so
see
much.
you and chat with you. And I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe, and happy holidays to the both of you.
Happy holidays, guys.
Same to you, Justin.
Thank you
Thanks,
both.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.